Month's Transformational Thursday, and we have three amazing speakers, guests today. For those of you who don't know what this show is about, basically, it's a personal passion project between Prasad and me to kind of bring forth really amazing entrepreneurs whose stories we think should be told and speak about the kind of transformations they've undergone, what really being alive means to them, because at iThrive, what we do is we really create personal health transformations, and our flagship program is called Alive. And the goal is to kind of give life back to people who are suffering with chronic diseases, ill health, and all of that. And we just want to showcase other amazing people in this world who have chosen to pursue their dreams and bring about transformations in their own world. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the intro. I'm going to bring forth this month's guests, and as always, I will be asking them to introduce themselves. But here we go. Welcome, Reshma, Amit, and Roonam.
Hi.
So, yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I know all of you are very busy people, and I know like taking time out, middle of the week, midday, must be really something that's difficult. So thank you so much for coming here and agreeing to do this. I just want your stories to be told, and I was looking up your profiles on LinkedIn, and I think you guys are doing incredible work. So thank you so much for being here and welcome on board. But the audience doesn't know who you are, so why don't we start off with a self intro? And the reason why I'm asking you to introduce yourself is because when you speak about yourself, I love seeing that glow in everyone's eyes, right? Like that never happens when if I introduce a guest, it's such a third party flat introduction versus you telling who you are to the audience. So, Runam, why don't we start off with you? Tell us who you are.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mugdha, for having us. And I'm very excited to be here with you and Reshma and Amit on this platform. Uh, who I am, I think, is many things, but professionally, I trained to be a physiotherapist and entered the healthcare ecosystem almost 15 years ago. And since then, life has led me down a path where I've basically been uh, into startups and into this whole health tech ecosystem for the last 15 years. I'm currently leading my third startup. It's called Health Cube. Before
Wow.
this, I was at Portia, which is India's largest home healthcare company. I
Right.
was with them for 7 years, so I saw it go from a early stage startup, create a category that didn't even exist in the country in any kind of an organized manner. And today they are a behemoth, they're a well-known name. So extreme pride in seeing how that startup has done, and I obviously hope that HealthCube can reach some success as well. uh, I'm also a mom to a 4-year-old daughter. I'm a yoga enthusiast. I'm also learning golf uh, for the last 2-3 months. So I think that's really where I'm at today. Thank you.
Wow, incredible. And like when I like moms, working moms are like two different roles altogether. But lovely. It's great having you here. Amit, what about you?
Yep. So thank you so much for having me here today. Hello all. My name is Amit. I'm a co-founder of a social venture Mittikerang, wherein we help women entrepreneurs list their product on the website, and we help with the marketing and selling across the globe. That's what we do at Mittikerang. Personally, I'm a backpacker. I've backpacked across India, 80 cities with 17,000 rupees. I left
Wow.
my job in 2019. I was working with the Bank of New York for 7 years, then took a break to run Mittikerang full time, and then went for backpacking. So that's what I do, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Wow, I did this backpacking experiment for 2 years, like two bags and me all over. I just wanted to see what happens if I give up all my material things. I am so craving that experience again. Thank you for reminding me about it. But lovely to have you here. What about you, Reshma?
Hi, Mugdha. So again, thank you for having me here. If I introduce myself, it's a very difficult thing because and I have to confine myself. So I'll start with my professional journey. So I'm a product manager and I'm working with some corporates. But then again, my kindness and compassion led me to found Shrimitra India. And recently, I have found this about myself that I like traveling too. So I have started solo traveling to different small places to meet new people and understand more about our own country and our own selves. So yeah, that's about me.
Wow, that's the thing about travel, right? It starts changing your perspective because when you're like in one place at home, there's a level of comfort and you're so used to routine. And when you travel, especially small places, backpacking, not these luxury guided tours and trips where your food is going to be on a buffet table, and that starts changing your perspective. It makes you appreciate a lot of things, especially in a country like ours where like it's mostly chaos, less order.
Yeah.
I love traveling across India. Cool. So really interesting lives you guys are leading. So coming to my next question, right? And this one I like I've always been surprised by the answers that come out of this question. But and the reason why I asked this, like I said, our flagship program, what we do in terms of reversing chronic diseases, we call that program Alive. It's a 90-day journey. And why do we call it alive? Because at the end of it, we're really like giving life back to people, right? Like taking them away from a disease place and making them feel alive again. And I know what being alive means to me, but I love hearing it from other people, right? So, Reshma, back at you. What does being alive really mean to you?
Okay. So it's more than just inhaling, exhaling, of course.
I know.
There is, yeah. No, so being alive something too. So my idea of being alive is I'm alive something too. So when I say that, it means that I'm aligned in my whole body and soul to a purpose. And the purpose cannot be like you have to make impactful variation or put a dent in the universe. It can be as simple as being happy in your day-to-day life. Like सुबह उठ के मैं खुश हूँ. That's my purpose. So that's making me feel alive to connect with small things. And I'll tell you one story, Mugdha. It will take around 1 minute. So I read it somewhere that there were two frogs and they jumped into the well, and the well was very deep and they were trying to come up. They were trying very hard to come up and save their own lives. And the other frogs on the brim of the well, they were saying that don't do this, it's a futile attempt, you'll die, it's a very deep well, you'll not be able to come up. Okay, one frog, he gave up and he stopped trying. The other frog, he kept trying hard and hard to jump and come out of the well, and he succeeded finally. And then the rest of the frogs, they were saying, "Ki, didn't you hear us while we were telling you that you'll not be able to make it? And how are you trying? How were you trying again?" So he said that he didn't say anything. The other frog said that he can't hear anything. He thought that you were motivating. So that's why he was able to make it. So that's how we should be aligned to our purpose, or maybe find the reason to keep going, positive self-talk, and not just keep standing in front of the mirror and motivating yourself, finding and accepting your mistakes, flaws, understanding it, and then going ahead with it, finding that one reason which makes you very happy about being alive. So yeah, that's how I think, and I take it.
Lovely, lovely. And I actually resonate a lot with that, right? Like finding that one purpose, that desire to like just exist no matter what everybody else is telling you, and then like going for it and being unstoppable about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, great. What about you, Runa? What does being alive mean to you?
It's actually a very, very difficult question, Mugdha, and I've been thinking about this for the last 4 days, ever since I agreed to join you guys. And I'll try my best to be as coherent as I can. Um, to me, being alive is really having the freedom uh, to choose the kind of life that I want for myself. It can be, uh, I don't, I think, I think being alive for every human being eventually is about freedom, and that freedom comes in many ways. Obviously, it's and we see all of these conversations that are happening. Freedom as a country, we fought for it. Freedom as a woman, to be allowed to
Yeah,
vote, to study. I mean, and unfortunately,
Sustainable.
there are countries that are still, yeah, that are still, arguing over these basic rights. I mean, in America today, women are fighting for the freedom to
with the
choose
body.
what happens to their
Yeah,
bodies. So for me, in a nutshell, uh, for me to feel truly alive is to know that every day, whatever it is that I choose to do on that day is a choice and a decision that I have made. It can be to get out and work. It can be to have this conversation with you. It can be, to spend time with my daughter. It's the life that I have chosen for myself, and that's the crux of being alive. The day that freedom ends, I think, is the day when being alive would probably not make sense anymore.
Wow. So that's one of my core values. It's part of the company values as well, like consent, right? To live within your consent, to like to have the freedom to say no to things while you're saying yes to things also, right? Like that
Yeah,
that thing
yeah,
is inviolable. Like to be able to do things with free will, and yeah,
yeah,
like for me, I'd rather die than violate my own free will. So
exactly.
I know what you're talking of, and like that being allowed thing. So oh yes, I get that so much. I know, and when I was in college and later, I used to keep thinking this is an Indian thing, like the patriarchy and all of that. But then I realized it's actually a global thing. Like patriarchy is not just India. It's sometimes more in your face and more apparent here in India. But there's a lot of covert patriarchy across the globe. So yeah, I think that ability to live with your free will, your body, your mind, your
Yeah,
soul, whatever you want to do. So
yeah.
cool. What about you, Amit? What does being alive mean to you?
Yeah, I think it has been changing from time to time. The moment I get to know about things, so for me, it's being living a life with no regrets, and I'm a firm believer of that quote when I was backpacking and earlier to that what is the biggest truth in the world कि दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा सच क्या है. So the biggest truth in the world is everything is a lie. कि सब झूठ है. जो भी हम बचपन से सुनते आ रहे कि ओके आप ये करो. So my mother has been taught by her mother has been just passing by, and we don't question anything. We just follow कि हाँ ठीक है superstition है क्या है क्या नहीं. So I just keep questioning all those things, and I just keep doing what I love to do. And I think generating curiosity is something for me which keeps me alive. कि okay, this has been done. What's next? What next? So yeah, living life with no regrets and just be happy with what you do. So that's what.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many people would want that life, right? Like living without regrets, because like we do a lot of work even around mental health in the work that we do, and then so many times people when they come into their mid, this is often is about that feeling of, oh, I should have, I would have, had I done this differently, and then they're stuck in that loop. So yeah, and then that takes right, because you're stuck in the past thinking of how you could have done things. Totally get it when you say like living a life. Great. So for me, being alive really means like being able to embrace this human experience in its entirety, right? Like the chaos, the madness, all of the emotions, from absolute sadness to complete joy to peace to occasional glimpses of feeling enlightened, like really occasional. But all of it, the material celebration of life, the pleasure of having a forest in my office, all of that. So it's really that, right? Like embracing the human experience in its entirety is what really being alive means to me. And the fact that my body supports, like I don't wake up with aches and pains or fatigue and lethargy. Like when I wake up in the morning and I think this is what I want to do with my day, I actually have the energy, the enthusiasm to go through my day like that, right? So okay, my internet is not glitching. I got a notification. But anyway, assuming my internet is fine, what is the most transformational experience you've had in the last 6 months? Amit, this one's for you because I want to hear, because you seem like you've like done so many things differently. You seem like a very curious, experience driven person. And what is the biggest transformation you've seen in the last 6 months? Personal, professional, social, anything?
Right. I think for me, it's been always in terms of Mitikerang, and what we do is we just keep launching new product. And one thing which we never used to be like, getting failures into our DNA, but now we fail a lot on that. So I'll use the Hindi word sharam because that is something which we all deal with, no matter what we do in our personal life or professional life. So that is something which I have been out of it. Uh, because what happened with us, if we are professional or whatever we do, we have that stigma ki, okay, if you're this you can't do that, if you're that you can't do that. So I've make sure to just do what I really want to do. For example, in the last 6 months I've partied like crazy. That might sound like very like what exactly, but yeah, That was something which I haven't done in ages, and I'm like, no. So I have to do that. So I just keep doing that. So that also teaches you a lot. Okay, you know what you have been doing with your life. So that is one thing with MKR. We have been, learning a lot, failing a lot. And third, I really wanted to backpack again to Goa for a month or so, but I couldn't because of the summer and then now rains. But now I'll be planning to do that. So to cut a long story short,
Wow.
so just to cut a long story short, I'm just trying to do more things which I haven't done in my past, and coming out of that stigma of that कि शर्म नहीं आना चाहिए जो करना है वो करेंगे. So I'm going more towards कि yeah, I'm just pretty cool with what I'm doing. I don't want to show anybody like what I am exactly.
Wow, that's incredible, right? Because getting over that fear of judgment and like getting over toxic shame is one of the biggest obstacles I think people face. So congratulations on that. Runam, what about you? What's the biggest transformation you've experienced in the last 6 months?
Um, so maybe not 6 months, maybe in a slightly long period, but
Okay.
somehow my life has kind of conspired to put me in a position of responsibility on many fronts. I
Okay.
am leading an organization at the moment. I am the primary caregiver for my daughter. I'm also currently the primary caregiver for my father-in-law. So
Oh,
it suddenly felt like I was responsible for a whole lot of stuff. And that hadn't necessarily planned for, that kind of came my way. And I realized that my mental health is of supreme importance. So I've always been an yoga enthusiast, but I made a conscious effort to spend an hour every morning, and sometimes I have to wake up at really really early hours in order to keep that commitment to myself. But 5 or 6 days a week I spend an hour on my terrace, just with my yoga mat, and it obviously ends with a little bit of 10 minutes of quiet time. And I think that one mindful decision has really enabled me to fulfill a lot of very very emotionally challenging responsibilities that I'm currently faced with. So I think yes, that has been a transformation. I've learned and prioritized my mental health and found a way to actually have it happen every single day.
lovely. So beautiful to hear that. Because, and that's something that a lot of people forget to inculcate, right? Like the grounding practices that are needed for them to really spring forth and be unstoppable with whatever they want to do. So good to hear that. What about you, Reshma? What's been the most transformational thing? And I keep it to 6 months because it kind of puts a timeline and then suddenly it gives you perspective also, right? Like because again, what I've noticed is the last 6 months have seemed like people really shifted gears and like timelines changed for a lot of people. So what has been the most transformational thing for you, Reshma?
Okay. I missed one point to say in a previous topic, so I would like to add. So I used to keep changing my WhatsApp DP regularly, okay? And then
Okay.
people used to notice कि रेशमा इतनी जल्दी जल्दी DPs क्यों change करती हो? So I was like, जिंदा हो तो कर लो, मरने के बाद एक ही photo लगनी है. So that's one aspect we should keep following while we are alive. Okay. Second point in transformation. So Mugda, when I was working with corporate, and I'm still working with corporate, and we used to go to office, so दोपहर का time ना बहुत lazy होता था. Like we wanted to have lunch के बाद थोड़ा सा सुकून, थोड़ा सा एक 20 minutes का nap ऐसा कुछ. But now when I'm working full time and a full time entrepreneur, and I also want to backpack and travel, I have understood that there is not a single minute in my life where I'm oozing out. I am active 24 hours. And like you wake me up at middle of the night, you wake me up early in the morning. So time management is one thing which has actually brought a lot of front light in my life after this journey in past 6 months. And I have understood that a person can be many things all together at the same time. It doesn't have to be confined and succinct in a small box. So yeah, a Pandora box has opened for me and I'm living and enjoying my life. So time management, discipline, and consistency, it's something buzzword coming in my day-to-day life, and I'm very much seeing that transformational aspect in my life from day-to-day aspect.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think that's something I often miss out on, like being consistent because I'm inherently a very creative person. So I'm like a box of ideas every single day, right? But then being able to implement that consistently, keep doing something, that's something that even I have been working on. And I have a lot to learn from Prasad when it comes to that. But yeah, so that's one thing that I've been working on, and I can understand. And you must have seen the impact of that, right? Like really planning your time and really like becoming careful with every moment, how that actually compounds and adds so much more value over the long run. So great. For me, I think the most transformational thing was over the last 6 months, I've really transitioned from being just a nutritionist, because like while I'm the CEO of I Thrive and while I'm like managing the company and everything, I started off as a functional nutritionist, right? So for me, like I seem to have transitioned from that nutritionist role more into like helping people with this mental spiritual health. So I don't know how, but I've become like a psychologist suddenly. So that seems to be the biggest transformation in terms of my career. Personally, I have realized that like I always thought I was courageous, but I've discovered like a new spring of courage that seems to have opened up, and it's like physically also my posture has become straighter, my spine has straightened up. So it's like intense for me to see that much courage come through, and it's really like that's the thing about transformation. And I think as people who lead companies, as people who have our own companies, we experience transformation on a day-to-day basis actually, because we aren't the same person that we
We were
were
yesterday.
yesterday. We learn and grow every single day. Yeah, and the
Morning to
fact that
evening
we
is
allow for that
fast.
fast pace of growth is what really gives us the capacity to lead a company. So, yeah, but it was lovely, lovely hearing you guys. Any takeaways for the audience that might be watching now, that might see this at some later point of time? Any words of wisdom from you, Reshma?
Okay, so what I have done in the past few months, I've stopped seeking external validation. So I do, I come from within, I know my purpose, and I take actions for it rather than just planning it in my mind. So external validation, जब हम छोड़ देते हैं लेना, तो we get our actions very in line in place, and we gain certain kind of confidence, which nobody can take from you and nobody can give you apart from yourself. So yeah, stop seeking validation outside.
Beautifully said. What about you, Roonam? Any words of wisdom for people who are watching this?
Firstly, I think Reshma, you said it so well when you said that you really need to reach a point when you stop seeking external validation. I think that's very very well said. From my end, I don't know if I'm old enough to be wise yet, Mugdha, but I will say this, that life basically goes in cycles, right? Where we are today, we're seeing a downturn. Of course, on a global level, but also a lot of people are personally affected by what's happening. But you should keep your sight on the fact that samay chakra hota hai, right? So times are bad today for a lot of us, but times will, markets adjust, seasons change, and times will change again. So, and this is going to happen for the rest of our lives. You're going to see downturns, you're going to see upswings. So ride both of them with equal grace.
Lovely. Yep. I think, and as startup founders, I think we know the significance of like time even more, right? Because to us, it seems like the runway is really short versus really large marquee companies where they have like long runways. So I really know what you're talking about, but I know this changes as well, and I can see even in terms of the startup world, the chaos that happened maybe even a couple of months ago, it's already correcting itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, good for us. What about you, Amit? Words of wisdom from our backpacking life with no regrets guest here.
Well, no words of wisdom, but one thing I've learned, and I used to watch a lot of motivational video earlier. Public used to like, yeah, देखो, you'll learn all those things. But after, so I was, so how the thing started, like we think that, okay, we are poor, we don't have this and that and that. But if you don't have something, just fight for it and you'll get it. Just keep nagging about, okay, we don't have this because my English was bad. I've come from a village. So people who want to learn English and do something. So you can stand in front of a mirror, learn English yourself, reading newspapers and everything. Then I came to put in 20 to 1,000 rupees. So that give it that poor. I got a good job. So again, my thought got changed. No, all you tell me कि BCom पे job नहीं मिलता, but I got a job at Bank of New York. Then you can't leave your job and do backpacking. I did backpacking. You can't leave your job and do a startup, social venture. I did that. So what I've learned in the 8 to 9 years journey is like you just keep doing. uh, उधर का ज्ञान you will keep getting, and people will keep telling you कि ये नहीं work करता, and family will definitely not talk to you for a couple of years, which happened in my case. But if you are mentally tough, I think you will be able to nail that and you'll be able to live happily after that. So yeah.
I so resonate with this because I have this vision of creating a planet free of lifestyle disease, right? Like it's my vision. Like don't tell me I can't dream, right? Like I can. And then there are so many people who come and tell me कि नहीं होगा. Planet कैसे free of disease होगा, right? छोटा रखो. Say 1,000, 1,000,000 or something. And I'm like, I literally don't give a I can't say the word, but I don't give
You
a
got the feeling, Mugdha.
yeah. So I don't really actually give a fuck about what people think, right? My dream is my dream, and I want to create a planet free of disease, and that big vision is what is really allowing this to scale and like become what it is, right? So I totally get you there. Like it doesn't matter. Like be like that deaf frog in the well that Ishma spoke about earlier. Like doesn't matter what people around you are yelling and screaming and shouting. You do what you have to do, and you'll reach. Like you aim for the stars, you'll at least land on the moon now. But
Yeah.
if you don't aim for anything at all, you're going to be on the same planet forever. So that's about it. Anyway, I think our half an hour is up. It was so lovely listening to your thoughts and hearing you out. And
Mugdha, can I
yeah,
steal
sure.
your platform for 2 minutes?
You're not stealing anything. This is your space.
Okay, okay. So, doing a self promotion kind of thing. So, being an entrepreneur, this is my Janam Sit Adhikar. So, guys,
Absolutely.
so all the audience here, I'm founder of Shrimitra India. Shrimitra India is a platform where we are helping destitute kids to get month on month resources via a platform. So, we don't just envision them to have good nutrition, but we want them to have good career. अनाथ बच्चों का भी करियर बनना चाहिए राइट हमारी कंट्री में वो भी हमारी जीडीपी में वो भी कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे सो वी आर वेरी नियर टू आवर एमवीपी लॉन्च एंड वी सीक योर सपोर्ट बी देयर फॉर अस एंड we'll make that impact we'll create that impact with all of your support so
For
that's
sure, Reshma, you have my forever support, and let me know what I could do to kind of make this thing really succeed. Thank you so much for being here. Lovely having you over. And I think entrepreneurs, startup founders, startup leaders really bring about change in a way that no one else can. So, kudos to all of us. And you have a good day, guys. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being
thank
here.
you
Thank
thank you
you.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.